Hello channel, welcome back, and welcome if you are new to my channel. Today I am going to talk a little bit about a big accomplishment that I had recently, at least for me. I have read the last several books of the Old Testament in the Bible, and I feel that was a huge accomplishment for me. So I just want to kind of pat myself on the back for that. I have never done that before. I've never even read that many books of the Bible before in my life. So I think that is a great accomplishment for myself. Basically, I read the books of the Bible, Daniel through Malachi. And, in those various books, there are some Bible stories that I'm very familiar with. I did go to Sunday school and things like that. So I am familiar with the books of the Bible and the various stories. And one of them was Daniel. And everyone, well, I don't know if a lot of people know that, but the story of Daniel is that he was thrown into the lion's den. And God helped him to escape from that situation. But what I didn't know is that Daniel was a seer, and God gave him the gift of being able to interpret people's dreams. So he would go around the kingdom interpreting dreams for the kings and different people of the kingdom and things like that. Well, the reason he was put into the lion's den is because he was ratted on, essentially. Some people, actually the governors of the kingdom, came up against him and basically told the king that he was still worshiping God, praying to God, and not the idols that the king had written into law. So basically, the law stated that anyone who worshiped God was going to be, put to death, and they were only supposed to worship the idols that, were in the land. And so he was put into the lion's den, and God was able to help him escape from that situation, and without a scratch on his head. So as a lot of people have said, this is exactly what some of the traits are with the chosen ones, is that they don't look like what they've been through, essentially. And I can certainly attest to that. I have been through so many trials and tribulations that I don't think many people would be able to handle some of the things that I've been through in my life. So, but anyway, so that was interesting. And basically the theme of the books of the Bible that I read was around pride. And the fact that the overarching theme was that the prideful nations were going to be dealt with. And essentially they were going to be destroyed and toppled and basically dumped on their heads. God was very PO'd in these books because the people had basically gone against him. They had worshipped other idols. They went in their wicked ways. Even after God had delivered them from Egypt and slavery. And of course, from Exodus, there's many generations that, have come through since that time. But none of them learned, basically. None of them, worship God, or they had. And then as they got more successful, more powerful, richer, they tended to forget about God and essentially where they came from. So the moral of the story is that, basically God brought you where you are and was the one that helped to make you successful. And you should not be, forgetting that and acting like you're too busy for God and things like that. So, I went and I have some notes here that I'm looking at. I went through and just wrote down the definitions of pride. And as anyone can, understand, that there are basically two definitions of pride. And one, obviously is a more positive trait to have, where you take pride in your work, and it's kind of like a work ethic kind of a thing. So this is what it says for the first definition. Feeling of happiness that comes from achieving something or finishing a difficult task, which is obviously a positive trait. Then the not so great trait is it's also an improper or excessive self-esteem, known as conceit or arrogance, thinking you are superior and better than everyone else. And of course, this is a negative trait. And that's, what God was getting at, is that's what these nations had become. They had become conceited, arrogant, and basically God has had enough of it. And he is going to topple these nations and turn them on their heads, essentially. So, basically at the end of the day, you're supposed to be operating in a prideful manner, obviously, to have pride in the work that you complete. But, operate in your life in a prideful manner, but stay humble. Remember where you came from. Don't step on people as you go along. A lot of these organizations, it's kind of like, climbing the corporate ladder, right? And just kind of stepping on people, mistreating people, not following the rules to get where you need to go. And, I've never been one to operate that way. That's maybe why I've never experienced having to climb the corporate ladder, because it's just not in me. It's not in me to treat people that way just to get a paycheck, just to get a title, when at the end of the day, you have to live with yourself, right? You have to live with the person that you see in the mirror. And I could not do that. Like I couldn't do that. So, here's a real life story that is actually a good example of this. So a family friend is having some work done, and they, consulted with this company. It's a construction company, and they wanted a structure built on their property. Well, he had given this construction company $20,000 to start the project. And at the end of the day, he did some work, but then never was showing up to do it. And basically, this person called him numerous times, went to even his family, asking where he was. The guy would always say, "Oh, I'm going to be out there. The supplies just came in. Oh, I'll be out there tomorrow. I'll be out there tomorrow." And he'd never come out there and do it. So it got to a point where this guy was actually going to be out $20,000. And he had looked a little bit more into this company, which I don't know why he didn't in the beginning. But, and I think he did, the reviews on various websites were good, maybe he does do good work, but this is what was going on. And so at the end of the day, he found out this company had changed the name like 10 times or so that he was able to, skirt people and have them not figure out what was going on. So it's things like this, like it was almost like it was a Ponzi scheme, and at the end of the day, there was nothing that anyone could do about it, because this guy was saying that he was going to be out there. I'll be out there tomorrow. I'll be out there tomorrow. And nothing would ever happen. And which I find very hard to believe. Like, how can a company be out there changing its name, 10 times or more, taking people's money, never doing the work, and people can't do anything about it? Like, I don't get that. But anyway, so that's what was going on with him. And so, yeah, it just got to be kind of crazy. So this is what the Bible is consistently saying about this prideful stuff, and the fact that these nations are going to be dumped on their heads. So there is a variety of different Bible verses that I could go into, but I'm going to just read a few here that kind of talk about this pridefulness and the toppling of these nations. So the first one is Hosea, in the book Hosea, Hosea, 10, 11 through 15. And I'm not going to read the whole thing because it kind of goes into some back history, but it says, starting with verse 12, sow yourselves righteousness, reap steadfast love, break up your fallow ground. For it is time to seek the Lord, that he may come and rain righteousness upon you. You have plowed wickedness. You have reaped injustice. You have eaten the fruit of lies, because you have trusted in your power and in the multitude of your warriors. Therefore, the tumult of war shall rise against your people, and all of your fortresses shall be destroyed. So that is kind of crazy. Then there is another passage that talks about this as well, and it is in the book of Obadiah, and it is Obadiah 2 through 4, and it says, rise up, let us rise against it for battle. I will surely make you least among the nations. And this is about Edom and the nation and how it was brought down, essentially. Rise up, let us rise against it for battle. I will surely make you least among the nations. You shall be utterly despised. Your proud heart has deceived you. You that live in the clefts of the rock, whose dwelling is in the heights. You say in your heart, who will bring me down to the ground? Though you soar aloft like the eagle, though your nest is set among the stars, from there I will bring you down. So if that isn't something that is currently going on in the world right now, it is crazy. I truly feel that at least the books of the Bible that I have read are truly playing out in the world right now. One example I have of this, I came across an article the other day that was about Ford Motor Company that is putting a hold on an investment of $12 billion that would go toward electric vehicles. All for the fact that they claim the cars are too expensive. It's like, well, we could have told you that 2 and 3 years ago. And that is just so funny that this was all supposed to be just a great and wonderful thing. And now Ford and other motor companies, car making companies, are putting a hold on everything, not moving forward potentially with manufacturing facilities that they have wanted to start building in other states and whatnot, because they know that these people can't afford it. And then I also heard that to replace a battery in one of these cars costs like $25,000. Essentially, that's the cost of a new car. And so, yeah, it's just crazy. Now, is this what this means? Is this like the start of it, where these large companies are going to be just toppled and turned on their heads? Or is it the elites that have invested in these companies to push their agendas, because you know that the elites had, stocks and in these companies to push their agenda, this whole electric vehicle thing, and they stood to make millions of dollars from this. So is this what it means, that these elites, these corrupt people that are investing in these companies to push an agenda are going to be toppled and turned on their heads? I don't know. You got to really think. And then I've also heard, and which probably anyone can attest to this, that I have heard in the near future there is going to be some serious market manipulation in the stock market. Now, everyone can tell that their 401ks have not been doing and performing all that great over the last 2 and 3 years, if not longer. And so it doesn't surprise me one bit that these companies are going to be manipulating their stocks and the value of their company to show that they are more profitable than they are, which ultimately affects the stock price. And yeah, so does that mean that these companies are potentially not as profitable as we've all been led to believe? Like, who knows? Maybe they're getting infused with a bunch of elite money, corrupt money, whatever, to help them stay afloat. And they really are not as profitable as we think they are. So just, thinking about that a little bit. And it's just, like I said, it's so amazing that these books that I just got done reading in the Bible are truly like manifesting in the world right now. It's crazy. So I just want to end the video with a passage from the Bible that I have been reading. And it's not a verse or verses. It's just more of a summary of some of the things that have been talked about through all of the reading. So let me get there in a minute here. It's in the book of Daniel, and it is called The Fatal Flaw. And it says, the moment you have a self at all, there is a possibility of putting yourself first, wanting to be the center, wanting to be God, in fact. That was the sin of Satan, and that was the sin he taught the human race. Some people think the fall of man had something to do with sex, but that is a mistake. What Satan put into the heads of our remote ancestors was the idea that they could be like gods, could set up on their own as if they had created themselves, be their own masters, invent some sort of happiness for themselves outside of God, apart from God. And out of that hopeless attempt has come nearly all that we call human history. Money, poverty, ambition, war, prostitution, classes, empires, slavery, the long, terrible story of man trying to find something other than God which will make him happy. The reason why it can never succeed is this. God made us, invented us as a man invents an engine. A car is made to run on petrol, and it would not run properly on anything else. Now God designed the human machine to run on himself. He himself is the fuel our spirits were designed to burn, or the food our spirits were designed to feed on. There is no other. That is why it is just no good asking God to make us happy in our own way without bothering about religion. God cannot give us a happiness and peace apart from himself, because it is not there. There is no such thing. That is the key to history. Terrific energy is expended. Civilizations are built up. Excellent institutions devised. But each time something goes wrong. Some fatal flaw always brings the selfish and cruel people to the top, and it all slides back into misery and ruin. In fact, the machine conks. It seems to start up all right and runs a few yards, and then it breaks down. They are trying to run it on the wrong juice. That is what Satan has done to us humans. Wow, that is pretty powerful. So I just wanted to end the video with that and to just kind of share with you my interpretation of these last books of the Bible of the Old Testament and how it's very strange that all of this is playing out in our world today. So hopefully this information was helpful for you. Like, share, and subscribe, and stay prideful, but also stay humble as well. Remember where you came from and treat people with respect on the way up. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.